Yay, I'm back.
Yeah, we lost you for a second there.
Yeah, sorry about that. The internet decided to do weird things.
No worry, we were just talking about the first journal and kind of what it was all about.
Yeah, again, as we said a minute ago, they've moved into a house while you've been gone, so you don't know your own home. Which is interesting.
I mean, it's still obviously really early, but it's like one of those, it's interesting they decided to tell it through the audio journals, where they don't necessarily give you anything in the game, they make you explore and find everything, but that's the one thing they really make a point to tell you about, or really emphasize and tell the story that way.
Yeah, and even then, I missed some of those my first time through, because I later learnt there's a list you can check to see which ones, like, how many there are and which ones you've got and which ones you haven't. I didn't know about that the first time. I didn't know there was a list, and I missed, I think, 2 of the main diary entries. And yeah, even then, like, it doesn't, you have to be looking to find these things. They don't just sort of hand them to you straight away, even if some of those are easier to find than other things.
How long did it take you to find everything?
My first playthrough was about 2 hours.
Okay.
I came back and did subsequent playthroughs where I looked a bit more closely.
I don't know if the Daniel thing is on the screen, but that particular, I guess, arc through the game, like, that kind of just was one of those things that reinforced kind of the horror thing for me. I'm like, uh-oh, there's my killer.
Yeah. Oh god, yes, good point. And then, the worst one is, in a second, the voicemails.
Oh yeah,
those voicemails after this note, I was convinced that someone was being murdered, and that, like, I thought the story was going to take a turn of, okay, the guy in that note has kidnapped you, tied you up, you're in the boot of his car or something, trying to ring for safety.
You know, it felt like that somebody was watching me, like, throughout the rest of the game, I guess. Like,
yes.
Like that guy is somewhere in the house kind of watching the video.
Sam.
Huh, that's interesting. It doesn't play through the subtitles.
Sam!
No, that's okay.
But that was the first one where she just...
Where are you? Really? I need to talk to you. Please be there.
Hi, Mom. So I got my ticket home from Europe. I get back on June 6th, but it's a really late flight because that was the cheapest, so it gets in at midnight. But don't worry, I'll get a shuttle from the airport so you don't have to pick me up. Like, really seriously, you don't have to. Okay, so, love you. See you soon. Bye.
I thought after the voicemail messages, I was like, okay, well, I listened to them again after the game was over, and I kind of had the full story, and I was like, oh, well, it definitely changes the meaning of everything.
Yes, I really like that they put this right at the very beginning, and they also end on that very same note. So the last thing you learn brings that first thing, one of those first things, into context. And you're like, oh, I really like all of this. Yay! Happy resolutions. Okay.
Like, these are just some of the really little touches that I thought were really good, where you kind of find the postcard, the way it looks.
Yeah.
Some of the things that she looks at.
Well, there's nice little touches, like the stamps in the top right corner. You can see that it's they're from France before the introduction of the euro, so it's 50 francs for a stamp, or whatever the smaller denomination of francs was. I can't remember, but it's all pre-euros and things, and I love the world.
Did you ever get the sense playing this game that Katie was a little bit she felt bad about being the older sister, or, like, I always wondered about their relationship and whether there's just that kind of distance between the two of them.
I get the impression that she was always the good sister, and that, you know, oh, this picture. First time I saw this, I assumed this was Sam.
No, I did
at
too.
first.
I was gonna ask you when you had found this, or if you had found this after.
I didn't twig until I played it a second time, and then it seemed really obvious who it was. But can we see a surname on the
DeSoto.
lapel? DeSoto. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which again, I didn't pick up on the fact that Sam's a Greenbrier.
Yeah, it took a little bit. Took a little while, right? Actually, when I figured out who she was, I actually ran back down here and picked up the photo just to see if that was the same person. I was like, oh.
Aww. Do you mind if we look at the obituary in the drawer as well?
Oh yeah.
Because I keep forgetting to go back and look at it. Just because I'm curious about how it plays in with the story. Just a sec.
This storyline I didn't quite parse out as much, or didn't really look into. Have you had a chance to kind of look into it?
Well, I know about the fact that, you know, the pharmacy he runs.
Mm-hmm.
There's suggestions at various points about the fact that the reason he had to give up his job at the pharmacy was to avoid temptation to a degree, and we'll get into that in a bit. But it talks about him being a well-loved figure at the centre of the community. It then later, I can't remember where it is, but there's allusions to the fact that he did things to sort of, he was like, I think it was like giving out ice cream or something. He did things that were like, hey children, come enjoy the shop.
I didn't see the connection with the obituary until I actually picked it up and saw the name Terrence Greenbrier, and I was like, oh wait, okay. And he has something a little bit more to do with the thing.
Yeah, I think that's where the bulk of his interest comes, is because, as we find out not too long from now, the house kind of came from this guy Oscar and was given to the father of the family, Terrence, when he passed away. So yeah, we're exploring the creepy guy's house.
Yeah. I like the total I don't know if you know what a mimeograph machine is.
I don't know it by name.
It's before they had copy machines, and so
oh yes.
I only had them when I was like a really little, when I was in like elementary school. But it's this giant like ink. I don't know how to describe it, but like it's how they made made copies of like assignments and stuff, and you recognize it because it's the really blue kind of printing ink and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. You are so lucky you finished high school before we moved into this house. So, it's the first day of school, and there I am, introducing myself to the class, and I say that I just moved into the house on Arbor Hill. All of a sudden, every kid in the room turns and just stares like I suddenly transformed into a mutant. I just stood there, wishing pretty hard for a rewind button. Because now maybe nobody knows my name, but they all know who I am. The Psycho House Girl. Great.
I was thinking about this, and if this were a movie, like this would be about the time I would have like flashed back and actually saw that scene.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that we never see any of these things,
It's
because
up to my imagination, right?
I guess it's always through, you're experiencing the story through the lens of the person who experienced it themselves, and as such, I know for a story like this where it's a sort of a nice sweet love story, is I guess what it is at its core, I would guess that it probably didn't play out exactly how Sam says. There's probably places where she embellished things or she remembers things differently because she's experiencing it for herself, and I guess seeing it would be slightly different. I don't know. Yeah, I like seeing it through the sort of rose-tinted glasses she has, where it's sort of everything is the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah, it's like just I won't call it like a coming-of-age story, but like at that point when I heard that, like that's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know, Breakfast Club, or just somebody growing up and being really awkward.